is up, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube? I'm Chris Smith, and today, that's right, it is the first review of 2016, and we're going to kick this thing off right with a fantastic film that I just saw called Anomalisa. Now, Anomalisa is directed by Charlie Kaufman. He did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Great film, check that out. Bit of a headbanger, but that's not the point. Starring Tom Noonan from Manhunter. Anybody ever see Manhunter? He plays Dollhide. Jennifer Jason Leigh, fresh off of The Hateful Eight. And David Dwellis, which does a fantastic job in his thing. He's also from Harry Potter movies and Gangster #1 and a couple of other great films and whatnot. Now, this movie is taken particularly in stop motion. You know the stop motion animation by now. Like Nightmare Before Christmas and whatnot. Now, this movie, what really works well, or pretty much actually before I get to that, the whole plot is pretty much Michael Stone is kind of a man who doesn't really connect well with people. And, he's a customer service guy, so while he's on his press conference in a work-related manner, he eventually meets Lisa, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and she pretty much changes his life and his worldview of pretty much everyone around him. Now, for this film, like I was just saying before, it is in stop motion. Now, what works well, so well in this movie is that the stop motion is fantastic all across the board. The same way that Avatar did for motion capture is the exact same way, I believe, while watching this movie, is how stop motion did it. Because the facial structures and the facial motions in this thing is just unbelievably fantastic. The sets are really well-crafted things. These are not just like, just kind of typical things. These people have, you see, real human features do these stop motion things. And that's not an easy thing to do. Because especially for something that's not real. Like you see in Star Wars how R2-D2 can have emotion come through even though you don't see any facial structures. But for this, you actually care about the characters in this thing because this movie is very well directed. It's very well written, and it's a very interesting type of story to the point where you're just like, you know what? I actually can connect to these characters regardless of its stop motion or not, if these clay figures. But, kids, don't get this confused. This movie is not a kid's movie. Don't get confused by the clay figures and think this is, like I said, The Nightmare Before Christmas or The Corpse Bride or Frankenweenie. This isn't any of those. This movie is an adult film. Just how, some people probably thought, Team America was like, oh, those are puppets. No, this is a legit adult film. You see... they're dealing with kind of depression and just kind of all these adult themes to the point where you're just okay, so this is something new here. The stop motion thing has been done quite a few times, but in here it feels fresh because they're carrying it in an adult manner. Not only that, but they're doing adult behaviors. For example, like I said, this is an adult movie, so they have actually their body parts. An actual female body part and actual male body parts, and you see that in the movie. And granted, that's a bit of a negative for some people out there because this movie could get a little bit weird because it's scary how well the facial structures actually do come across because it is very well crafted to the point. Now, for the performances in this thing, it's only 3 performances, which is Tom Noonan, David Dwellis, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. That is it. Those are the only people, the only voices you hear. Mainly you hear Tom Noonan because for some reason Michael... only hears Tom Noonan's voice and everybody around him. And I thought that was supposed to be a bit of a headbanger, but for the most part, I think it was because Michael, and as I said, he has this problem to really connect to people. So while Michael is only hearing that specific voice and everybody, and at first I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But, you start to see it that I think it's because Michael only sees everybody as just the same, and nobody's really interesting to him. He never really connects to somebody else. Everybody just seems like they're all in the same pathways. But then he eventually meets Lisa, and then she has a different voice compared to everybody else. She has a different view on things. She's something new. She's something fresh, and that way he feels alive. He feels something new and fresh to really motivate him to kind of go through it. Now he's married and whatnot, but this is in a way a bit of a coming of age story, even though Michael is, like a 50-year-old guy, 45-year-old guy, it's a bit of a coming of age story, but in a way it's a love story, not necessarily between him and Lisa, but almost between him and just himself, really. He starts to fall for himself in a way, he had to find Lisa to almost, kind of fall back in love with himself because, there's some people that have depression and they kind of start to hate themselves. And then for this, he has to kind of really rebuild himself back up. And for this, like I said, it is a well-crafted movie. Not everybody would probably understand. Well, not understand it. I don't want to say understand because it's fairly easy to understand the thing. They touch on how what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be human and to care and whatnot? Nobody knows the answers to those type of things because there's no real definition to any of it, and they touch upon it. And I really did enjoy this film. It was one of those movies where, because I didn't see this in theaters, I watched it, and I would not have felt differently. If I did see any of this, I wouldn't have said like, oh, I just want my money back. It's not really worth it. I think this is definitely a worth it film, and I don't want to spoil anything for you because it is a headbanger. If you thought Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was a headbanger, Charlie Kaufman knows how to make a very nice love story of sorts and almost a coming of age thing, but at the same time, just like a mind fucking thing to the point where it's just like, wait a minute, god damn it, why don't you just stick with the love story angle? Because at first, it could shift a bit, but they always kind of like signal it to the point where it was supposed to be a basic film, and then it's supposed to be a little bit odd in some cases, but it worked. The acting, I would say this right now, this is the best stop motion I've seen ever. By far, it is the best thing. You forget that you're actually watching like clay figures and whatnot, and you just seem like you're watching actual actors. And that's the thing. I also think this is some of the best voice acting I also have seen, and not just stop motion, but just probably ever. This is probably the most well mixed of like, particularly by David Dwellis and Jennifer Jason Leigh, which do fantastic jobs in their roles. David Dwellis, he really, I believe him as more like this old, frumpy old guy, and then Jennifer Jason Leigh comes across as this like sweet girl or lady, whatever, that kind of, has a bit of different views on life, but she works well with him, and then you see things unfold. Now, the acting is fantastic. Like I said, the voice acting, the voice to character models work very well together. And everything about it is just fantastically well done, from the sets to the direction to the writing to the acting. Like I said, you forget that these are actual clay figures, and you just think these are some of the best. This is some of the best acting I've seen. Like, if I didn't see this already, if I didn't make my list, I actually probably would have put this maybe at like 10, because I really did enjoy this, and it is a fun movie. But now I have to give it a rating. Go see this thing, I would say, pretty much. But if you didn't see my ratings or rankings video, go ahead, watch it. Then you'll understand my ranking right here. I'm going to give a religion ranking. Why? If you see it, like I said, go watch the video. But for the religion ranking, it's pretty much something that's not for everybody. It does get a little weird because there's a sex scene between, and this is a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but a sex scene between the two, and then there's, Michael and they're having intercourse. He goes down under on Lisa and whatnot. But some people may be freaked out about it. Some people may be weirded out. So therefore, it may not be for everybody. But that does not take away this film. This is a fantastic film. It's just that if you're willing to kind of see something that's definitely something fresh and a bit of a new experience, go check out and try to find Anomalisa. It is a well-made movie. And definitely, I say, I don't know if it counts as an animated feature, but if it does, I say this should definitely win. But yes, fantastic movie around. I give it a religion ranking because it's good, but it may not be for. It's fantastic, but it may not be for everybody. Everybody's gonna have mixed feelings, I think, on this. At least for the casual moviegoer, I think. But yes, I'm Chris Smith. Comment, subscribe, like. Signing out.